Hey everybody. So it's been a hot minute since I recorded anything at all. I've been in Europe, in various parts of Europe, and um, decided I wanted to go ahead and sit down. I'm never going to have like the perfect amount of time to do a recording about what I've been thinking about, and so I am headed to the airport right now. I'm in Malaga, Spain, and have been for the past about 6 days, and am now headed to the UK to see an amazing art installation that I saw last year on Facebook, of all things, and said to myself, I'm going to see that. And everyone around me was like, Of course you are. And I said, Yes, I am. And so this week I'm going to go do it. The main thing I want to talk about today, and I'm going to keep this brief, is so this past weekend I went to a tantra retreat, and it was tantra is very poorly understood, I would say, in terms of generally people tend to think it's a sex orgy, and it's not. It's a spiritual practice, and so this particular, and there are many different colors of tantra, and so this one was a pink tantra retreat, so it's a combination of red and white, and I learned a ton, and the vast majority of the exercises were about emotional, connecting to your emotions in the body, and letting the body tell you what's happening. And I think it's a very underrated, devalued fact that the body has its own wisdom about what's happening. And I had a meditation teacher that told me once that we live most of our lives just a few feet outside of ourselves. In other words, we're so much mind that we're not here. We're not here with ourselves to know what's happening in the body. Um, and so this last weekend at the retreat, oh my gosh, it was incredible. We did various meditations and various types of exercises to get in touch with the emotions that are there and that are there for all of us. And I think it's pretty common for us to do a lot of numbing and various behaviors that sort of take away from or distract from what's actually happening, because in a lot of cases I think we lack the tools and the know-how. We're not taught how to manage our emotions from the inside out, right? And so it was incredibly transformative, and I came away with some practices that I think are going to change my life over time. And I'm not going to walk us through any of those right now. I wanted to just share kind of some thoughts about that. And then maybe if I can find references online, I'll drop them in the links to this particular video, or drop them in the comments rather, so that you all can benefit too, because I think all of us are walking around carrying emotions that no longer serve us, and plugged into things that are in the past or in the future, and carrying them within us. And we don't need to be doing that. We need to be able to, every morning and every night I've been asking myself the question, where is my spirit? Have I directed my spirit to a memory or to a person or to a place or to an idea that is elsewhere, such that what I have, the energy that I have to serve me in the present moment, to carry with me in the present moment, is less than 100%? Am I operating at 80% because 20% of my attention is focused on something that I can't control that happened in the past? And so these are the questions I've been asking myself every morning. Just where is my spirit? And just sort of, and then also in the evening as well before I go to bed. But the main thing to touch on is, a few weeks ago, before even leaving Trinidad for good, I was listening to Carolyn Mass, MYSS, that's her last name. I actually don't know how to pronounce it correctly. So, and she was talking about how, when it comes to physical health, we're in Western medicine, at least, we're sort of treatment focused in terms of, something is wrong. Okay, take a pill and make that pain go away. Right? But the pain doesn't actually go away. It's just sort of numbed, and we're not experiencing it consciously. But the pain is there, and whatever put that pain there is still there, right? So it's really kind of a silly solution, if you even want to call it that. And so what Carolyn talks about is that really, at the head of the train, at the front of the train, in the engine, is why you do the things that you do, and the emotions around that. And then the caboose is the physical manifestation of that. of disease, right? And so basically what she means by that is, we have these energetic centers in our bodies. We can call them chakras, or if you're not bought into that idea, I think everyone can relate to the idea of a nervous stomach. Or if you're stressed, maybe you feel it here in the center of your chest, like a tightness in the breath or something like that, right? We've all experienced these kinds of emotions. And so call it what you will, whether you want to call it a chakra or not. But the bottom line is there are certain emotions that are associated with certain parts of the body. And so if, let's say, I'm feeling chronic anxiety and I'm always experiencing that in my abdomen or in my chest, I'm literally financing that emotion and financing that thought, whatever it is, with that part of my body. And the tissue in that part of the body is what's ultimately going to pay the price. And when when it first kind of clicked for me, I listened to this particular lecture of hers like 5 times, because there was a lot to unpack. And when it finally clicked for me, I was like, holy shit. um, just thinking back to the multiple times when I'd had some kind of physical ailment, and then thought about what emotion was I experiencing at that time? Because if you are bought into the notion of chakras, each chakra is also associated with certain emotions, and she talks a lot about using the Judaic tree of life as a sort of emotional map, which is it's a pretty fascinating thought if you want to look into it. But to really get close to, why am I doing the things that I'm doing? Am I doing this from a place of jealousy? Am I doing this from a place of fear? Am I doing this from a place of anger? And if so, then that thought form is being financed by the part of my body where anger would typically be held, right? And so ultimately, over the course of time, if I'm continuing to finance that emotion from that part of the body, that part of the body is going to pay the price. This past weekend at the retreat, with all the emotional release tools that we were learning and practicing, I have physically experienced a difference in being able to let go of some of these emotions I've been carrying around, either my own emotions or those that I picked up from others, because I'm highly empathetic and can hardly be in the room with someone if they're having a bad day, because I carry it too, right? So mostly just wanted to highlight that, and that's a lot of where my head's been as I've been traveling, and it has been incredibly healing and incredibly empowering to realize that just by being aware and just by being in my body, I can be more conscious about where my energy's going and what I am essentially creating with my management of those emotions or lack thereof. So I have to get to the airport, so I'm going to end this. And thank you so much for listening and traveling along if you have been. And I will, as I said, try to locate some of those exercises online, and drop them as links in connection with this particular video. So take care. So as part of the talk that I just gave, which centered largely around learnings from the tantra retreat that I went to, as well as Carolyn Miss and some of her content, which I find to be really exceptional and helpful, I wanted to also provide another resource, and that is something pertaining to breath work. And a big part of my process has involved, in some way, some fashion, working with the breath as a vehicle for achieving a particular objective, even if that objective is simply to arrive in my own body, right? Which none of us spend enough time in our own body. And so, but the breath is an amazing tool that we can use. And if you get really into breath work, it's kind of a miracle what the human body is capable of and what we are capable of dealing with just by learning how to master these different breathing techniques. And so rather than doing my own meditation or producing my own content around this, I would like instead to direct you to a resource that is already here on YouTube, which is a video that I have done a few times, that I have found really beneficial, that centers around a breathing meditation and some other things, and it's about 40 minutes long, but I think would be a really nice complement to some of what I discuss in the 8 minutes that precedes this little interlude now. So yeah, I'm just going to pop the link down in the comments, and I'm also going to pop the link in the description, and just kind of promote this other person's content, because I think it's really, really well done. And so would direct you, or recommend at least, that you check it out. If you feel like that's something you're interested in exploring, and potentially incorporating into your own toolkit, which already consists of meditation and some other things that we've already talked about in this series. So thanks so much, and I hope you enjoy.